Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Vera here as always and as usual. Today's episode is quite special because I'm with someone that you've already known. You've seen his face a lot on this channel. I'm talking about no other than Barrister Onoha. He's someone that's been on this channel several times to talk about politics, which is what we are here to discuss today. Politics lately in Enugu. The lack of opposition, the several inauguration, which a lot of people call premature inauguration commissioning, and all that. So, Barrister Onoharada is a barrister practicing here in Enugu, Nigeria, and he describes himself as a staunch supporter of Peter Mbah. That is the governor of Enugu. I'll find out whether he still says that. I mean, from the last video, he said Peter Mbah can never do no wrong in your eyes. Do you still maintain that stance?
I can't remember if those were my exact words.
We'll play the video. We'll play it.
Well, the truth is that he was somebody I supported.
Okay.
I still support him.
Okay.
Do I like everything about him? No.
Okay.
But I think he has done well.
Okay.
He's doing well, rather. So
okay.
let me leave it at that for now.
All right. Well, can he still do wrong in your eyes?
Definitely. I mean, I used to be very vocal with my support for him. In recent times, I don't know, people have noticed I'm no longer that vocal. It doesn't mean I don't support him anymore. I still support him. But in terms of, vocalizing it, I've kind of tempered it a little bit.
Okay.
But so far, so good. He's doing well.
Zero. Okay, so talking about tempering or lowering down your vocalization of your support of Peter Mbah, that is something I expected somebody to do. And permit me to just talk about this because some of you on this channel, especially Mona Ede, I need to say that name because I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but I suspect you're a man. A lot of you on this channel dragged me severally, not once, for supporting Barrister Edoga in the last gubernatorial election in Enugu. And while I cannot confirm nor deny that currently, something happened recently that made me rethink, like, really? I suffered this persecution for what exactly? And I said this because Edoga came second in the last election. He ran with Labour Party. Originally, he was with PDP. He lost the primaries, ran to Labour Party, and he came second. He went to court, demanding for his stolen mandate. When everything came out, the court still said that Peter Mbah won the election. He went mute. I was really expecting a certain type of opposition from him, right? He didn't do that. Only for him to come back several weeks ago to say that he's undergoing some sort of conversation with PDP members with the view of returning back to the party. As if that did not shock us more. Over the weekend, there was a town hall in Enugu. He went there, moved a motion on behalf of the entire Enugu East, that I'm not sure if all of them sent him, but he moved a motion that the entire Enugu East is now in support of Peter Mbah, and called himself the biblical Saul. That he used to be the Saul that fought with everything against Christianity, but now he has seen the light. He's now Paul, and that he's going to use everything he owns and have to support and work for Peter Mbah. Hey, that was my expression.
The motion, every move by Onaledona has been seconded by Dr. Ben Ole. Because our collective opinion and view and stand that Dr. Peter Mbah, our governor, should be the sole candidate of Enugu East entire zone. Those in support say aye. Those in support say aye. Those in say aye.
What do you think? Because for someone I was dragged for, a lot of you said things about me, even had to send me mail saying, no, he had to say that he didn't even, I have a lot of things to say, but this episode is not about him, but I just had to put that out because, you talked about vocalization, because I just felt like, even if you felt a certain type of way about the governor, I mean, it's not something you come to the public space, to share like that. Reason being that there are people who fought for you. There are people who are still maybe enemies with their friends because of you. There are lawyers who went to court trying to defend you and all of those things. So I don't know what his thought process was when he said all of those things about himself. This was not people describing him. He actually made those statements himself in a public space, moving the motion that, he's strongly, and he's been seen in the midst of PDP party members for commissioning of projects in Enugu. So he's virtually a PDP person. So I'll leave you guys to talk about that, but I just felt he should have done what my good friend here is doing. Calm down with your vocalization. I mean, if you feel Peter Mbah is the right person, you can meet him, call him over the phone, tell him that, but, it's like throwing everybody that supported you under the bus, making them look like you were not serious with your race at the first time. But that's that. Moving away from that, I know you have a lot of things to say about him, but...
I actually have. But...
Okay, let's hear you.
Well, I have a lot to say about that.
Okay.
First and foremost, it is very disappointing.
Very.
Very disappointing, even coming from me, who was against him, in support of Peter Mbah, all right? But I just felt that his move was very, very abrupt. Okay, those of us who were observers or who participated saw how heated that contest was, and then he came with there's the whole P2B movement, and then he leveraged on that, and then gained quite a following.
Yeah.
All right, rightly or wrongly, okay, he did gain a lot of following. In fact, the margin with which he lost to Peter Mbah was just about 3,000 votes thereabout. So very slim margin. Somebody would have expected that that he would have built an opposition, a strong opposition with that. For very unfortunately for many years, Enugu hasn't, had very strong opposition.
You've never had since I was born.
That is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if I am the party in power, for my own sake, I would want an opposition to be there. Okay, sometimes people can just get drowned in the voice of all the noise of support all around you.
Singers,
oh, this and that and all that, and then you are no longer you can't think straight. But if you have a strong opposition that is able to speak to you sometimes, make noise, and then kind of drag you back to some things that are important, and actually opposition will actually help you succeed.
Yeah.
All right. So I was believing that with that showing in the 2023 elections, he was going to build a strong opposition in Enugu. But what we saw was shortly after the elections, he made those comments about, he's consulting and all that. And then I can confirm that he joined the PDP.
Really?
He really went back to PDP. It is out there.
Whoa.
He officially rejoined the PDP.
I'm happy to be here. I appreciate the governor of Enugu State who has made this thing possible. I rededicate myself again to PDP.
Wow.
This was a few months ago. Okay. Of course, his recent comments now about, he's going, full trust, so that, like you said, raised up issues about, is it not too far? Are you not going too far? And then, did you, even if you have these feelings, even if you believe this governor has performed wonders, okay, shouldn't you,
apply some decorum.
Can you imagine? Okay,
apply some decorum.
Yes, can you imagine somebody like Peter B?
No.
Coming to eulogize Tinubu in that manner?
I'm not sure.
I don't think he would do that. Even if Tinubu is doing well, which I don't think he's doing, okay, he's failing woefully. But even if he is, somebody that has,
fought you,
gotten to that level to come out openly, to the point of calling yourself Saul that has become Paul. It is very, very disappointing. And then, moving around, in fact, the way he's moving now, it just looks as if they offer him SA to the governor on what is a small one now, he will quickly grab it with two hands. It's very unfortunate.
It is. And, I wasn't expecting that. It was really disappointing. And anyways, it is what it is. I mean, we learn every day. People often say politics, it's a game of interest. You should not take it personal and all that. I'm learning. That's okay. But was I disappointed with those statements? Yeah, I was, because of things people have done for him, people who stood up for him, and the expectations of people. Because I was really looking forward to an interesting political environment or scenery in Enugu, where it to be hot and, opposition start making objective criticism of the government, there was an energy I was feeling, but it didn't do that. Anyways, moving back to the current, everything in Enugu is looking like, we can't say, but there are body languages, there are movements, there are rumors here and there. We are seeing things being commissioned. What people are saying is like the governor wants to move to APC. What do you think?
Well, I have sensed that too. In fact, what is remaining is for an official announcement to be made.
Okay.
The way I see it, the body language is very, very obvious now. When I think it was earlier today, I heard somebody, that is close to the government speaking on this issue, and then the body language is very clear. All they are saying, it's Peter Mbah that we know, whether it is a PDP or APC. When people make comments like that, you just know that
something is cooking.
Something is cooking, and it could be any moment.
But if that eventually happens, what do you think would happen to Enugu? Because from democracy 1999 right down to now, Enugu has been a PDP party, and Peter Mbah ran under PDP to claim this position. What do you think would happen? Do you think everybody would just go back to being Saul and Paul, working for him under APC, or what do you think?
Well, what I think will happen is if Peter Mbah moves to APC, everybody moves to APC. The truth is that there are many people who believe that Peter Mbah has done very, very well,
okay,
and can point to tangible things that has happened under his government. And then for those people, if he joins Labour Party, if he joins
even ADC,
any party at all, they will go with him.
Okay.
All right. And then Enugu, in fact, the last election was the time that we saw, a bit of a contest. It has always been PDP all the way. But then it will be interesting to see how it plays out, because I know that there are people who, from the very beginning, have been PDP people. So all of a sudden, they are going to change, political parties for the very first time in their lives. I mean, since 1999, like you rightly said, Enugu has been PDP. So it will be interesting to see how that pans out. But definitely, I think if he moves, all of them are moving.
You obviously, just like you said, because I've also heard and read such comments about wherever our principal goes, we follow him. But that also makes me think, does it mean we've matured to a certain level that we no longer judge people by their parties, but by their individual performance? So if tomorrow Peter Obi decides to move to APC, nobody's going to have an issue with that.
Well, this is my own personal feeling. I've always been, for, political parties are vehicles that people use to
achieve their goals.
I've always said that, a saint can be in a bad political party. Okay. A devil can be in a good political party. All right. So that, for me, that is the ideal. But then, political parties are, ought to be formed around ideologies. All right. When you see a party like PDP, there should be things that PDP are known for. There should be ideologies that they uphold and pursue. Okay, so it also brings up the question of, okay, if you join PDP because of certain ideologies, and now you are leaving PDP to go to APC that has a different ideology, different blueprint and all that. So how are you going to manage that? Are you throwing away all the ones you had before in place of a new one?
Yeah.
So it brings up
lots of questions. I agree with you, but one thing I would also add finally before we move to the next thing is, really, does parties in Nigeria have ideologies? I think it's just interest. I mean, when we were Beleface, I think that is what we practice today. But if they eventually move to APC, I think the founding fathers per se, people like Jim Wobodo, American Naval may not. I think they'll just be rolling on their beds like, these children, you don't know what you did, because you know how much we built this party up and portrayed Enugu and all that. But we'll keep our fingers crossed and, see what that brings to us. So now moving away, you talked about projects, things he's been launching, and there's been conversations that this is rather premature, right? So let's talk about the NBA conference that just happened last week. So we think that he hurriedly ran to commission some of these things just so that, he'll have lots of things to showcase or, to make his speech a bit lengthier, longer, to show I did this, did that. Because, talking about Enugu Air, there are lots of questions around there that seem not to be answered about ownership, license, who owns it. Is it an Enugu thing or is it a private thing that just borrowed the name Enugu Air? That aside, although the airline has been functional, operating for a good time now, we move down to the bus terminals, To an average Enugu person that lost their shop or means of livelihood, what they thought that the terminals would serve is that once it's ready, they are going to reintegrate every other public transport into it. Enugu will have like a clean face. When you go to Holy Ghost or that arena or any other place, there'll be less traffic. Everything will be properly planned but now the terminals have been launched and it's still business as usual. So it appears that the terminals are serving just the CNG buses, which are like the government buses. And then when you look at the CNG buses, one, they are not enough. Two, all the features they said it would have, they're yet to be there. The Wi-Fi, the this, the that, the whole thing, the whole package is not yet there. And when you ask, they tell you, oh, they just launched it, it's still coming. We had months. Let me just say months. We had months waiting in anticipation for this. So what exactly is the delay? Is this a case of another big elephant or white elephant project, that you don't undertake, you not complete, and you just drop it there that I've done this? And then what else? Hotel Presidential. Very iconic building, right? When he started renovation, it was very interesting. People were happy because, if for us, we had this nostalgic feeling for Hotel Presidential. It's a place we went to as kids, and for some reason, it just went moribund. But now, there's renovation. It has happened, and there's the commissioning. But what we are seeing on ground, I don't know, it feels a bit premature for that hotel to be commissioned and opened. And then, we got reports of people who lodged there, having complaints that XYZ is not working, this is not working, the restaurant is not yet open. There are places you want to access that still telling you is not open. And the question for the average Enugu person is, why the rush? So, I know you do not work for the government, but for someone who supports him, I know you follow his works. I also know that you also have questions to ask rather. So is there a way you can maybe defend or explain or make us understand? Because right now it's that we are not understanding.
Well, thank you for saying that I don't work for him.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to put you under that pressure.
But some of the things you said are very, very, very accurate. And also quite interesting too. Now, you did mention the NBA conference. Let me start from there.
Yeah.
The NBA conference, first and foremost, is the biggest gathering of lawyers in the entire continent of Africa. So it's a big deal, all right? This year's conference was supposed to hold in Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
Things happened, and then NBA said, no, we are not going to do it in Port Harcourt. We'll move it elsewhere. And then the conversation started happening, where else can it go to? And then Enugu came up, and then somehow Enugu got it. So the first point is that it wasn't supposed to come to Enugu this year. In fact, from the things I heard, it was supposed to be, maybe next year, next 2 years, just, but suddenly in February or so, in February,
that was around the time,
the decision was made that it was going to come to Enugu. And there are certain things that should be in place if you're hosting that kind of gathering. Okay, and for people who were in Enugu when it happened, saw how the city, had to handle that number of people. And then it was also an opportunity to sell Enugu to
the world.
Okay, so of course the governor wasn't going to pass up on that opportunity. So you can now imagine that some projects that probably he had the leisure of time, he would want to quickly hasten up with those projects. So I think that was what gave rise to some of the things we saw with projects that are not really complete 100%. Really, for you to open a hotel, every part of that hotel should be up and running.
Yeah.
Okay, people cannot lodge in a hotel and then the restaurant is not open.
Yeah.
Okay, and then but then that is on the low side of it. Okay, but to balance the conversation, really, let's also give flowers where flowers are due.
Okay.
All right, Hotel Presidential has been dead for
close to 15 years.
Yes,
over 15
or
years.
more.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you look at the place now, is looking amazing. Okay, at least from what we can see. That is one. Then another place where we should give the government, some flowers is the International Conference Center itself, without which that conference you cannot even begin to talk about hosting that conference if you don't have an edifice like that.
That's correct.
Okay, so like we all know, that big project was started by Chimaroke, who left in 2007, and then nothing happened. As Sullivan Chime is somebody that we all love so much, but in all the wonderful things he did in Enugu, he did not touch that project for 8 years. Then came our friend and brother,
Yeah.
you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he stayed another 8 years and did not touch that project. And then in a period of 2 years, this governor, I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And that,
became a place people could
became
go
a
for
place
things.
where right now, in fact, so it's my own is give flowers where it is due. Right now, the reviews we are getting from people who attended, thousands of people who have never been to Enugu or in all their lives came to Enugu, during that conference, and their opinion of Enugu has been very, very impressive. I haven't seen one bad review. I belong to all kinds of chat groups where lawyers, talk and all that. In all honesty, I haven't seen one bad review about Enugu. Okay, so then the bus terminals you talk about, yes, that is also another audacious project. Very, huge dream. And we saw it rise to the point where, we were told that it was going to get commissioned, and then it was commissioned. And like you rightly said, we haven't seen, other transport companies assimilated into, into the system. And then so that at least, they can free up those places they occupy now. I mean, the essence of that, project is to, accommodate all of them. But it hasn't happened yet. So let me hope that, a lot of things happened very, very quickly, the commissioning and all that. So probably with time, they will all, come in. So,
okay. Let's give time. I agree with you based on, giving him flowers, judging from where we came from. He is like the best in fact, better than sliced bread for Enugu. I mean, we've seen things that we didn't know was even possible in Enugu being possible. But I think at this point, even about giving him time, I think another thing is, in fact, let me not even go into that. But another thing I think a lot of people want us to talk about is the smart school. Let's not even talk about water, because at this point, even as an Enugu resident, I've given up on water. I've given up. He wrote on the 180 days thing, you get water. This is like thousands of days later, there's still no water. And people who have water currently in Enugu are those who had the old piping, from the water board. In fact, those people had water during Sullivan. They excluded Buruburu, and then now. But for the new people, I'm not sure there's any new person that has done what, and they have given us the same assurance. And because I'm writing on the give him time, they've asked us to give him time, that they're fixing new pipes, they're laying new pipes, they're reticulating, they're doing this, they're doing that. And I'm like, how long more should we give you? Was it that they didn't figure this out before they gave 180? And then you've done 100 days, you've done a year, you've done 2 years, still, in fact, it seems like the whole thing has been abandoned, because there was a controversy, a rumor with the guy in charge, the Austrian guy, Mr. Gabal, and how he absconded and how he's, but it's a lot. We are suffering. So let's move away from that and talk about smart school, because that was another thing that endeared him to Enugu. We'll give you water, your children would have the same quality of education that their counterparts are having across other developed countries. But now it seems that the smart school has gone to sleep. from cases of, falling buildings to some that have been abandoned, to some that have not even been started, to rumors of or stories of, contractors not handling the job well. So, as an insider, let me not call it an insider, what exactly is going on, with the whole smart school thing?
Well, I still insist that I'm not an insider.
Okay,
I am
as
an
a staunch observer
I'm
and
an
supporter.
observer, just like every other person.
Okay.
Now, the smart school idea is a very beautiful idea.
Okay.
Having like taking a peek into the future. Okay, moving away from the traditional system of public schools we have had, the kind of public schools that some of us grew up attending and all that, moving to one that has a futuristic outlook and all that. So very fantastic idea and all that. Okay, and then I'm aware that there are supposed to be 260 of those smart schools given to different contractors across the 260 wards in Enugu State. What we have seen so far is that, first and foremost, there were, disparate levels of progress with the smart schools. Of course, judging by the fact that these are being done by different people, so everybody doing their own at their own pace. There seems not to be synergy. Okay, they were not moving together. Okay, so what we have now experienced is that in many locations, this is September, so school will be resuming in a couple of weeks from now, and those smart schools, many of them are not ready. People can, guess as to why that is. Some of the things we have seen from the government is that, there have been complaints about certain contractors, who either absconded leaving the job, some did theirs with very substandard, materials that, in fact, looking at some of the substandard work done, one would even say, thank God that, this thing was discovered, because if it was not discovered and then you just patch it up, children go back to school in September, and then tragedy happens, and, it would have been very, very catastrophic. So for me, it's better we are starting late than doing something that would have led to the loss of the lives of our children. That would have been that would have been crazy, really crazy. So now, of course, the government has a responsibility. I know that in certain places they had to demolish some structures to set up smart schools, and now some of the contractors, for whatever reason, I don't know whether it is, lack of funds, I don't know whether, because it's not just about giving people projects, contracts. There has to be a tight system of supervision. You have to have supervisors monitoring them every step of the way. Okay, so that at very points in the contract, you can tell, how each one is going, and then begin to take, adequate measures to make sure that you nip whatever is happening in the board. But, we've seen in social media where, structures are already high up there, and then, they are discovering that they are very, very poorly done and had to be, demolished, and, the time factor. Okay, it's not like you can demolish today and raise up another one in the next 1 week or 2 weeks. So, it's still, they definitely are not there yet. Even though I am aware that in some locations, some, contractors have been able to deliver on their own. So, but then, I would say that overall, they won't get a pass mark on the smart schools. That is the truth.
Okay, the government.
The government will get a pass mark, because many children will not be making use of those schools. Now, the reasons behind that is what I cannot speak to. Okay, the government, they are the people who would know why the promise you made
it's not working.
It's not working yet.
So based on this, is it safe to say that the governor or the government or this current government was too ambitious?
When you say too ambitious, in fact, I would say ambition, I have a positive
Outlook for ambition.
outlook, when it comes to ambition, because we have had a government in the past that had no ambition.
No, please, can we stop referring to the past?
No, I will always tell you that we have to.
Yeah.
Okay. We had a government that, if you want to point at their legacy projects, you point to a flyover that was built on a single lane. Okay, so you point to a city that had no proper refuse disposal mechanism. All right, so, but now when you talk about ambition, that, having a big ambition, I will share a big ambition, even if you eventually don't meet up with it. But the fact that you have an ambition alone, that one, this is my personal feeling,
I understand.
right? It appeals to me that somebody has an ambition, a big
that
one.
there is a plan.
Yes,
for
there's
the
something
people.
to pursue. Okay, how do they say it? You can shoot for the sun. If you miss it, at least you can get the star, or something like that. Okay, so at least there's something to pursue. It's a different conversation whether you're able to get it and how fast you get it. But the fact that there's something that you're chasing, you have a big dream.
You're in motion.
Good, bring it on.
Okay, I get you.
Big dreams would be the only reason why we had. I mean, if a conference center was abandoned for over 16 years, it would be a big dream for you to want to approach it and finish it in 2 years. Okay, so that is one. Then the presidential hotel too, we've talked about.
No, I understand
so those are
those
big
parts,
dreams.
you see.
The smart school idea is a big dream. But the question is it something that is achievable? Yes, it's achievable.
No, it's achievable. The point I'm coming from with the ambition is that it's not like he shouldn't have dreamt all these things or planned for Enugu. I mean, it just shows how his heart is for Enugu. But I also understand that there might be some sort of level of pressure for him, being that this, your predecessor, right, didn't do anything and you want to do something. But the part I'm looking at is that, before you do everything, even in business, you have to carry out a level of feasibility study.
True.
Before you throw words out, before you promise people things, before you take what they have to promise them something, there has to be a level of feasibility study as to, can we achieve this? When can we achieve this? Let us even take into consideration the extraneous factors or our reality. And now I'm talking about reality because, I've read a couple of things from some of his staff, the people that represent him on media and all that. They are talking about contractors not coming through with their agreements and all that. These are the reality we live in, because we live in a society where there is no accountability. People look at government contract as something that, they need a quick money scheme, collect money from government, disappear, abscond, and not do that. So I was hoping that, they should factor that in, because this is your reality. They're coming with a different approach, but people do not change overnight. You can't just bring an adult and tell them, what, I'm different from my predecessor, I need you to do this, right? Now, so there are a lot of promises that have been made, and people are beginning to look like, did you just sell us dreams without plans, right? That is where I'm coming from, the ambition, right? So we'll start from the water. There's the 180 days. Before you make such alteration, it should have been calculated. You have advisors, you have people who are specialists in that area. You have people you're working with. A governor does not work alone, or a politician does not work alone. So before you make something like that, you should have considered that for us to be able to meet this and this, these are the things that are required. What are the possible challenges we are going to encounter? So when you do your give or take minus, what is the worst case scenario? When can we do this for these people? You don't just come and say 180 days. Did you even consult people who are specialized in that field? That aside, now we're looking at 260 smart schools going on concurrently. That means you're working with different people. How are these people picked? What is their track record? How have you been able to indoctrinate them to your ideology, that you are not the corrupt person that give money away and do not expect feedback, right? Now, schools have been demolished. People need to go back by 22nd of this month. Where are they going to stay, right? Now, we move to the bus terminals at Holy Ghost. People's shops, parks and all that were demolished with the hope that something better is going to come for you. Now, we said, okay, there is a cost for development, right? Let us bear this. We stand with our governor. We've given up on these things. Now, months later, there is structure, and they're still telling us we should still wait, that one or two things need to be done. So at some point, you begin to ask yourself, like, are you really taking us for a ride, or is this thing? So at what point do we get it all right? Because I would prefer someone, for me personally, I would prefer someone who does not give me plenty hopes, but you churn out things in what's it called, in batches. Because I feel like he embarked on a couple of things at the same time, where a lot of people criticize. I'm like, okay, maybe he has the capacity, maybe they've done this shows that he did his assignment before he even started campaigning for his government. But now he's just showing that maybe they did the investigation, but they didn't really do a thorough thing. Because like I said, you also need to consider your environment. What are the environmental factors that would impede you? So what if we did, okay, now we are resuscitating moribund projects. Let's focus on Hotel Presidential, Niger gas that was recently done. Let's do this after this phase. Instead of tearing down things, let's revive the existing structures. We move down. At least with the people you've worked with, they know what you stand for. Nobody who wants to eat money will come after you because they know that you do not support that. Now we move to tearing down and rebuilding. Then we move to, in phases. So people are like, okay, but as we're going to do Japan, let me speak like my NDC one. We're going to do the Japan of Africa. And we are like, okay, you are still in letter J. Do you get what I mean?
I get.
So that is where I'm coming from. When with the ambition, I like the fact that Enugu is experiencing something. We can even dream or brag that okay, there are smart schools. We have our airline and all that. But the thought process in all of this, in executing it, because it's human beings you are dealing with.
Yeah.
People lost things, to give way to these things. So when exactly are we just going to wait till the kingdom come for these things to come?
Okay, so. With the thing about making plans and doing feasibility studies, especially with regards to the water issue, yes, I agree with you 100%. Perhaps they didn't think it through very well. In fact, they have even admitted, okay, because at a point when when water was generated up to a certain volume, they pumped water and all the pipes started busting. So one would have thought that, okay, you people should have envisaged that these pipes have stayed many years and will not stay. They will just burst open and start spilling water. Okay, so then that is that. With regards to the smart school thing, well, yes, that is also correct. The truth is that the buck stops at the table of this government. So they have made a promise. And if they are not able to keep that promise, people are going to...
There'll be distrust.
Yes, people are entitled to feel
a certain way.
A certain way. I mean, you told us this. What you told us is not what we are seeing. But, you are dealing with people, all right? So, people are... Things happen. There are sometimes, unforeseen circumstances can happen. You probably think that, in your plan, in your books, this is how it's going to be, this. You already have the flow chart and everything. And then along the line, something that you did not expect just happens and throws you off balance and, messes up your plan. But like I said, the buck stops at the table of the government. If they, I think what we should do, we should continue to hold them to the promises they have made to us. All right. So even if the ambitions are very big, very mighty, the fact that they have made these promises, we should continue to hold them accountable to it. One of them is the promise to do 10,000 kilometers of roads in Enugu in their time. Well, in terms of roads, they have done very well. They are still doing some. Even though I know in many areas, especially with the last ones that were flagged off, they said they were going to do them in 3 months. It's been at least 6 months. Okay, so there has been a lot of delays in that. Why that has been, I don't know. Okay, so my point is, it's not 100% for them at all. All right, but we are seeing things. So as Enugu, we should continue to hold the government to the promises. See, you have told us you will do this. The timeline you have given us for it have passed, but we are not backing down. We are still holding you to your promises.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, hold them to their promises, because once it's out there, it's out there. It's public, and you know we want to know about that. So personally, now, what would be your disposition if he eventually moves party?
If he moves party, like I said before, you know, when Peter Obi moved to Labour Party, some people say, you know, this mantra of Labour Party top to bottom. I said no. I think I mentioned it when we had our last conversation that in that last election, I voted a PDP candidate, I voted a Labour Party candidate, I voted an APC candidate. All right, so that is me, and my reason is that political parties are political parties. I rather look at the individual that will occupy this office,
Okay.
and what that individual can deliver to me. All right, so to the people, and now, looking at Enugu and what has happened in the last 2+ years, and then looking around the political circle, first and foremost, I don't even see any opposition or somebody who has shown any strong willingness to even present themselves as option. Okay, and then also judging by the fact that in my rating, I don't think this governor has done badly. So if he moves to APC, I'll be casting my vote for APC in the next election. I've casted a vote for an APC candidate before, so it won't be my first time.
So for you, it's not about the container, it's the content.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, guys, so this is where we wrap up today. I hope you enjoyed this episode and you learned a thing or more. If you have more questions, please drop it in the comment section. Remember, he does not work for Peter Mbah. He's just a supporter and an observer of Peter Mbah. Meanwhile, I am a media person in Enugu who asks questions about how government dispenses their responsibilities and roles to us. And until next time, please have a nice day. Remember to subscribe to my channel, share this video, and let's have conversation in the comment section.